Have you ever wondered why some people avoid difficult conversations, even when they know those conversation needs to happen? They know something is wrong, but they still choose silence. And psychology explains why. One reason is simple. Your brain naturally tries to protect you from emotional discomfort. You see, when a conversation feels threatening, avoiding it can feel safer, especially when you expect conflict, rejection, anger, or embarrassment. Your brain can treat emotional conflicts like a threat that needs to escape. So instead of confronting the problem, you avoid it. You postpone the conversation, hoping the problem will disappear. But silence rarely makes difficult problems smaller. Sometimes, avoiding the conversation actually makes the anxiety worse because your mind keeps replaying everything you wish you had said. You replay every conversation before it even happens. You imagine every possible negative reaction. What if they get angry? What if they misunderstand me? What if everything gets worse? This is where overthinking takes control. Your brain weighs the immediate discomfort against the possible consequences, and avoidance offers something conversations can't: immediate relief. For a moment, you feel better because the tension is gone. But that relief can teach your brain to avoid difficult conversation again and again. That temporary relief can reinforce the habit of avoidance. The more you avoid something, the easier avoidance becomes. And the conversation can start to feel much better than it really is. Fear can make a simple conversation enormous. In people, the pattern begins much more earlier in life. If you learn the conflict was dangerous, silence may have become your safest response. Over time, your brain can learn to associate difficult conversations with danger. That's why some people shut down even when the other person isn't actually threatening. Emotional walls can become automatic because difficult conversations often require vulnerability. To speak honestly, you have to reveal what you actually feel. And being emotionally honest can make people feel exposed. Some people avoid difficult conversation because they fear being judged. They worry that honesty can change how people see them. This is especially common in people who are used to keeping everyone happy. They may fear disappointing people more than they fear hurting themselves. That's why saying no can feel incredibly difficult. But avoiding honesty doesn't actually always create real peace. Sometimes, silence protects the moment while damaging the relationships. And this is where learning to communicate becomes more powerful than simply avoiding conflicts. Difficult conversations don't have to become arguments. Sometimes the most important part of difficult conversations is simply listening. Listening doesn't mean you agree. It means you're willing to understand. There's a difference between reacting emotionally and responding thoughtfully. A short pause can give your brain time to choose better words. Speaking honestly doesn't require attacking someone. Talking about your own feelings can be more productive than assigning blames. The goal isn't always to win. Sometimes it's to understand each other. Honest conversation can prevent small frustrations from becoming resentment. Communication gives relationship a chance to repair what silence leaves unresolved. Another reason conversations are difficult is that people often don't know exactly what they want to say. Putting your thoughts into words beforehand can make the conversation feel less overwhelming. Knowing what happened, how you feel, and what you need can create clarity. It helps separate facts from assumptions and emotions. And clarity makes difficult conversations easier to navigate. People also avoid conversation because they expect the other person to become defensive. But you can't completely control how someone will respond. But what you can control is how clearly and respectful you communicate. Healthy communication includes honesty, but it also includes boundaries. The goal of a difficult conversation isn't to avoid discomfort. It is to move through it without losing respect for yourself. A difficult conversation can feel uncomfortable and still be worth having. Healthy communication isn't about avoiding discomfort. It's about learning how to handle discomfort without letting it control you. Honesty becomes easier when you stop treating every uncomfortable conversation as a threat. Each time you face a difficult conversation respectfully, you give your brain a new experience. Over time, what once felt terrifying can become manageable. But healthy communications also means knowing when to set boundaries. You can communicate honestly without accepting disrespect. Sometimes the healthiest conversation is the one that helps you recognize when to step away. Communication doesn't mean forcing every relationship to continue. It means giving people a chance to understand what is real. Sometimes one honest conversation can break down years of misunderstanding. And sometimes the conversation begins with just a few honest words. Sometimes the hardest sentence is simply, can we talk? You don't need the perfect words. You need honesty, respect, and a willingness to listen. Because avoiding every difficult conversation doesn't protect relationships. Sometimes it simply delays the moment when the truth needs to be understood. The goal isn't to make every conversation comfortable. People avoid difficult conversation because discomfort can feel threatening. But avoiding a conversation doesn't always remove the problem. Sometimes growth begins when you choose to speak honestly, listen carefully, and face discomfort with respect. If this video helped you understand human behavior better, subscribe to MINDORA for more psychology, self-improve, and brain science. Until next time, understand the mind and change your life. Bye!